Hey guys, Art131 here with you on this rainy morning. And as you can see, we're in week 7, so now we have a few weeks left. The final week, there will be time to make up and also produce your final, which is matting and framing your best work, what you consider your best work, and sending that image to me. It has to be in a mat and frame. We'll talk about that more as we go along. Uh, and also, if you have missing assignments, they haven't turned into me yet, you should probably get them in because it's going to get bogged down where you have a lot of work to do at the end that you've been sort of procrastinating on, or maybe you've been working on them but haven't sent them to me. Let's send them now. Whatever you have finished and prior assignments. I mean, really start working on that because, we still have assignments in each week, and it's just going to get more and more assignments that you have to do by the end. You need a certain amount of assignments in order to pass this class. So I did send out midterm grades. Don't get alarmed at that if you've been sort of procrastinating and holding off and sending me stuff. It is calculated by how many completed assignments you did, what grade you got on that, and on each one, and then how many possible assignments there were by week 5. I think there were 15 with the midterm. So that's how it was calculated. But, there's always time to catch up. Or if you've been not sending me work, you got it sitting around, you know, you can do your own calculations on that. But send it in. If you want another update on your grade, let me know, and I'll do that. So we are in week 7, assignment number 13, which is illusion of depth. And it is an illusion because depth is relative to where you are and what you're looking at. So, like, if you are at the front of these railroad tracks, or we're standing down here looking down them, the illusion is that the rail tracks appear to get smaller or closer together as they go away. Well, everything will appear to get smaller as it's going away from you, or that it is away from you. So if there's a size of a house here and then way down here, and they're both the same size, the house way down here is going to appear to be smaller. And so that's how you will draw it to get the point across to your audience or your viewer. You want to create depth. So it's an illusion of depth. Let's take this one, or maybe this one. So the railroad is the good way to do that. That's a vanishing point down there. It's also a one-point perspective. So there's all the railroad tracks and a little pathway over here, the river, road, house lines, and the trees are all going towards that perspective because they're going in a straight line down the railroad track, which happens to be right there. I mean, you could look at the rail track from the right or left of it, like if you stepped off of the railroad track over the river and on that path, or back over here, or back over here, and look down the railroad track. It's still going to have a perspective point, but it's going to be kind of angled because you're on the side of it. Well, you're right in the middle of it here, so it's pretty well symmetrical. That these are going to go down straight, and these are going down straight to that vanishing point, which is on the horizon line. There's the horizon line. And typically, this is your eye level. If you were to raise up, you'd be looking down on things a little bit more, kind of like this view, looking down on the roof. This is kind of a more raised up view of that. But also, what you want to notice is if you're going to do railroad tracks, that the tracks have, the ties have a thickness to them. So there's a shaded area in the front or somewhere on that tie. And the ties are not white, so this is not accurate. These little drawings are not accurate to what I want you to do. I want you to tone things. I want you to shade things. Give tone. What they are accurate is they're showing the vanishing point and the illusion of depth. And cast shadow coming from this side. You have a shadow on the front of the railroad tie and on the inside of the railroad ties where the sun isn't hitting. Same with the house. Lit up on one side, not on the other. But the ground and road, you ever seen a white road like that? No. No. It's not white, and neither is the sky. The sky is either blue or gray or something along those lines, and so it has a tone. It's not white. Okay, so other illusions of depth. That's just one example. You could have a tunnel with a railroad track and a guy walking down it. You don't have to have the guy. But you're showing an illusion of depth by this one's getting brighter at the end, like there's a light, and darker over here, and it gradually goes and gets darker. I mean, darker back and lighter further on, darker closer. And this is the opposite, where it's getting darker down there, and then you got a guy walking. You could also do it in overlapping things. Let's see, where's a good example of the overlapping. This kind of overlapping shapes that are going back, and so it's an illusion of depth. That ball is smaller than this one. They're all probably typically the same size, but this one appears to be smaller because it's in the background. It's in the back. That's the whole idea with this. Spiral staircase. The staircase is the same width all the way down. It appears to get smaller and closer together and thinner, but it really doesn't. This is a good one. Ladder going down a hole. All the lines in the ladder sides of the ladder are going down to a vanishing point, so they converge. Converging lines, and all the lines in the tunnel are going down into that area too, to a vanishing point. All the runs, the steps, they're called runs, they get smaller and closer together. See how close together they are down here? And they're further apart here. But they're also shorter looking. It's an appearance. It's an illusion. It's the crazy illusion. Also, this one's a pretty cool one to do. Getting darker down there, and it gradually gets lighter as it comes up here. But you look at all the shading and texture in the wall. They really show that when you're drawing it. This one, rocks that are perceivably the same size, but that one's smaller and the smaller, a little smaller than that one, and then that one's big. Well, that's another way to do it. That's another way to do it. Illusion of depth. All these are overlapping each other, and they're getting smaller as they go back. So that ball and that cube, smaller than these, smaller than that. But they go back. This is sort of a take on it as well, where all these are going back away from you, and this is probably the closest to you. I mean, there's many ways to do it, and you can look at all these. The koi, really cool one. All the rocks are big on top, and then they sort of get smaller as they go down into the water, and then you got your koi down there. Apples. The one in the front is detailed. Then they start getting more blurry as they go away. That's a good way to do depth. Here's a bunch of balls together in a triangle. The back ones are smaller and they gradually get larger. So there's many ways to do this, okay? Pick one. Or get creative. Look at this. These little creatures, looking at these creatures, are smaller back here. So that's creating a depth. And everything in the background is very washed out. the detail is not there. The detail's all in the foreground because you're closer to it. You can see it better. Atmospheric perspective takes and sort of diminishes the tone and the detail in things that are in the distance. And that's another way to do it. A real intricate way of doing it when you're relying on the shadow and that things are getting smaller, but you have levels. And you're telling the audience you have levels through the shadowing. This is down, so there's a shadow there, and then it gets light here, shadow here, light here, really dark down in there. This is really intricate, okay? I understand maybe you don't want to do that. These horses, one's larger than the other one, and maybe if you made a third one over here, he'd be really small. This one's good too, but you want to, and all these things that don't have tone in the sky or on the ground, put the tone in. Don't send me something with white, unless it's really white. And if this was really white, there'd be snow all over the place. You wouldn't see the railroad track, probably. And that's not going to work. So shade it in. But all the telephone poles getting smaller as they go back to the vanishing point, they appear to get smaller and they appear to get closer together. Same with the posts on the fence, closer together. Everything closer together and smaller. So there's two aspects, closer together and smaller. Same with the lines on the telephone poles. And the same with the fence railing going down. So don't forget your shading. Don't forget your vanishing point if you're going to do that. Overlapping is a good one. This is showing depth. We can tell that goes behind because the elephants are smaller back there. Maybe that's a baby elephant, but I don't think so. You work it out. Figure out what you're going to draw, and have any questions, let me know. There's lots of ways to do the illusion of depth. Keep looking at them. There's various. And some of these don't pertain at all, but that's another thing. Noticing what is actually what I'm talking about and what isn't, right? You're learning to recognize that by what you're looking at. You're talking about art. You're talking in the art language. And you know what you're talking about now. So all this stuff back here is very misty and not defined. In fact, you barely see it, but they look like trees, but you're not really sure. But yeah, there probably are a little mountain. I'm not sure with mountain with trees. Then everything in the foreground starts getting more detailed and more detailed as it comes closer to you. And then you got the reflection in the water from the rocks. But these rocks are probably this size, but they're smaller back here appearing. That's the illusion. Trees way back here are smaller than ones in the foreground. Okay, I think you got it. Try it out, and we'll talk about the rest of it on Wednesday. Rest of this week's assignments.